But yeah, that takes me, I guess, into the actual process. So what does it take to buy a home? Can I really buy a home? Some people just feel like they're so far from that, but they're not always that far off. Get a lot of people, they think, oh, my credit's bad, I don't have enough money. But once you know the process and know what you need to do, then you just prepare. So I normally tell people, I meet with them, sit down, and I want to go over the whole pie and have them ask questions. So I mentioned a minute ago that the first process is going to, or the first step in the process is going to be talking to your mortgage loan officer. And so the reason you want to talk to your mortgage loan officer is a couple of reasons. They're going to look at your credit. So your credit is very important. I know you hear all the time different people talking about how important credit is, and your credit scores, this, and your credit score there, that. But it is important. It really drives your rate. So if you want to pay, the best rate back, well, that's not how I want to say it, but if you want to pay the least amount back and get the best rate, you want to make sure that you're, handling your credit with care. So credit is so, so, so important. Always pay your debts on time. Make sure you keep your balance is low. Just all of those things you hear, they really do count, especially when you're purchasing a home. Because the difference with a loan officer looking at your credit is just the difference of a consumer report versus them pulling it from a mortgage perspective. And it's just a different algorithm, meaning that you may look at your consumer score and it's 680, but a mortgage person looks at your consumer score and is a 620. A little bit more is taken into account. So please make sure that, you're watching your credit, because you're going to talk to a mortgage person. That's one of the first things they look at. They're also going to look at your income, because what they're doing is making sure, can I get this person the best rate and how much can they afford? So once you talk to that mortgage person, that's when you'll know what your credit looks like. If you've been doing good with your credit, you already know you're good. But if you've had a few hiccups, this is the place that you need to go before you decide to pay off anything or pay down anything. Sometimes you don't have to do those things, and then you're keeping that money in your pocket for your down payment and your closing costs, or for furniture, for whatever. So talk to the mortgage loan officer first, so that way they can analyze everything and tell you where you stand. So they're going to let you know, this is the rate that I can offer based on your credit. This is the amount of home you can afford based on your income. And with that, you have step one. So you'll either know if you're pre-approved or pre-qualified. You're pre-qualified just based on the things that you've told the loan officer. They haven't looked at any of your paperwork. You're pre-approved once they've actually looked at it. They have taken a look at your pay stubs. They've taken a look at your W-2s. They've taken a look at your bank statements. So they've actually been able to pre-approve you, because they've actually taken a look at everything and done the, crunched the numbers and made everything work. So that is the first step, and is the most important step. Don't skip that, because if you come to me and you haven't been pre-approved, I'm not showing you a house, because it's just a false sense of hope. You're wanting to go look at all of these homes, but if you like something, you may not be able to afford it, or you just may not be pre-qualified at the moment, because there's some things you need to take care of. But that's step number one. So let's just say now you've talked to the loan officer, everything is good, you're moving. Well, one of two things are going to happen. You're not going to be pre-approved. So work on whatever that person tells you, because they're the ones that's lending the money. So since they're lending the money, they're the ones that know what you need to do in order to get that money so that you can get your home. Mm-hmm. However, we're going to move forward because you're pre-approved. You've got your pre-approval letter. Now we're ready to look for homes. So the tricky part about looking for homes is that it really depends on what the market is doing. Usually when you talk to your real estate agent, sometimes your loan officer will also preface, what the market is doing as well. But once you talk to your realtor, they'll let you know if this is a buyer's market or if it's a seller's market, how we need to actually craft, the offers so that, your offer is more appealing once you're submitting it. As we're now in a seller's market, you're up against so many offers. I've heard, the horror stories. Is like, it's crazy right now. So depending on the market, you just want to make sure that you're doing whatever is needed in order to just, make your offer look more appealing. So that's what you'll work on with your realtor. But normally at this point, you're looking at homes that are in your price range, not over. And again, if it is over, you need to probably really talk to your realtor or change realtors, but you're looking for homes and you're shopping around. In a buyer's market, it's lovely because in a buyer's market, there's enough inventory that, most likely your offer will get accepted or you will find another home where your offer will get accepted. In a seller's market, however, there's just not enough inventory. And even when it comes to building, because that's another option, it just may mean that it's months down the line. So it depends on your time frame in terms of that. But now you're at the point where you're looking for a home. I like to tell people at this point, and usually even before we get to this point, I like to tell them before they're even pre-approved. There's some out-of-pocket money that you will have, to have, so that once your contract is executed and you're able to move forward, you're not left behind because you didn't know you needed this money. So that is earnest money. Earnest money is like good faith money, and it's money that's held at the title company until you close. Usually it's 1% of the sales price of the home. So that is money that you will need. And I call it upfront money when I'm talking to my clients, just so that they know, hey, this is what you're going to need on the front end, not when you close. So do you have this in the bank right now? Because you need it right then. So let's just say you're looking at a $200,000 home. You're going to need $2,000 that's in the form of a money order. I'm sorry, not a money order, a cashier's check, or you can pay it through a wire transfer. That goes directly to the title company. It's held there until you close, and you do get a credit back for that. If anything happens that's within contract terms, meaning you're not defaulting on the contract, you can get that back. So it's not like it's lost in la la land and you're not getting this money back. It's still there for you. There's also something called termination option period. And that is a period that's usually used for you to get your inspection. So it's roughly maybe 7 days for $200. Again, that even that amount goes up and down just depending on the market. Right now we're in a seller's market, so we're trying to make sure everything looks as appealing as we can to Mr. Seller, so that when they look at our offer, oh, he wants only 3 days for $200. That's really fast. But maybe 7 days for $200. That gives you 7 days to get your inspection, because really that's what it's used for. You want time to be able to have that inspector, schedule the inspector, have the inspector go out, walk through the home with you once he's done his thing, and go over all the ins and outs, and we'll get to that later. But that's what that time period is for. And that money is also, it goes to the seller, directly to the seller, but you do get a credit for that as well. The only caveat I'd say with the option fee money is that you will not get that back if you don't move forward, you don't get that back. But you got your days. And the good thing about that, if you're within your time frame to terminate, because it's giving you the option to terminate the contract for any reason within that time frame, but you get your earnest money back. So the next piece of monies that you need to have would be for your inspection. That goes directly to the inspector. You will not get a credit back. So we're hoping that this is the house, because even with my house, this one that I'm living in, not this one, but when I was looking for a home, I did have to have 2 inspections. So it happens. I don't want people to think that, oh my gosh, I lost that money and, what's going to happen now? But it does happen. I didn't want the other house and I did want this one, and I had to pay 2 inspections. So that does go to the inspector, no credits. And the other piece is going to be for the appraisal. The inspection, let me back up. The inspection is important. It is optional, but it is important because when we walk into a house, we don't know what's going on with it. We can see some things, yes, but
contractor eyes.
Exactly. We don't have contractor eyes. And so that inspector, they're there for like 3-4 hours. So, and they call you out the last hour. So it's really important to have an inspection, but it is the buyer's option. There are some times where things happen out of the norm where they may not get an inspection, and that's just really dependent on each deal. But it's always good to get an inspection. But that's what the inspection is for, to make sure that everything with the house is functioning and working as it should be. And if it's not, then we want to go to Mr. Seller and say, hey, we want this fixed, that fixed, and this fixed. Yeah. So the next piece is, so that's whatever that cost is. And then you also have the cost of an appraisal. And the appraisal is just what it sounds like. It tells you the value of the home just to make sure it's not overpriced. If it's underpriced, that's good. But you also want to try to figure out why. I've seen some that are underpriced and it's because people have to sell fast or it's a short sale, something like that. But those are the 4 pieces of monies that everyone should make sure they have, and that, because you will need that once your contract's executed. And that's all in the looking for the home phase. Yep. So we've gotten the pre-approval stage. Now we've been pre-approved. Now we're looking for a home. Okay, now we know we've got to have this upfront money because we've got to have something, because once it's executed, meaning now my contract's accepted. So those things have to be paid. Time is of the essence. You're going to have a certain amount of days to get everything in terms of the option fee and the earnest money. And now you need to be calling your inspector. So you need to call the inspector, get that scheduled so that they can go out and make sure that your home is just functioning perfect. And if it's not, you know why. And now we're at a point where we've gone through that. And so you'll be at more of a negotiations again with repairs with the seller. So you'll kind of go back and forth with that and iron that out. Once you've gotten through that hump, I'd say the home buying process, not the home buying process, the looking process is it can be up to 30 days. I mean, looking for a home can really be tedious just because of offers, and maybe you don't like this, or you saw a house you thought you liked and then you go and look at it, you're like, no. So that takes some time. I try to tell people, take your time. You'll know it when you see it, but it's not going to be like I see this house tomorrow. And some people do, you can get lucky, but sometimes finding the home takes, a big bulk of time and then getting the offer accepted. Once you've gotten through those phases, like I just mentioned, you've gotten your monies to the title company, you've gotten your option fee money to the seller, it's going to get a little quiet. And that just means that now it's in the underwriter's hands, it's in the lender's hands. So your lender is combing through your file, making sure that there's not a lot of risk, making sure that they're getting, everything together so that the underwriter says, yes, stamp of approval, you're done, you're ready to close. So it'll seem a little quiet, and I'll kind of, let my clients know it's going to seem quiet now. We've been really on it and seeing each other almost every day and talking on the phone, but now it's going to get quiet because it's in the lender's hand and they do what they need to do to get everything approved. And then they'll let them know, once it is approved, or if they need anything else from them, any paperwork or documents. They will also outline all of the money that's needed for the transaction so that they know what they need for closing. And then at that point, once they get ready to close, they'll meet at the title company and the title rep will close them out. They'll just sign, and then they'll get the keys to their home. Yeah. So that's pretty much the process, kind of quickly, but that's the process.